Hey everyone, we're here with Mike, Maik, from Heaven Shall Burn. Fantastic, no other way to describe it, but extreme metal band. They have a new album coming out, I think, and forgive my American silliness. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I think it's Heimat. Um,
Heimat, yeah. Not too
yeah,
bad.
sweet. Comes out June 27th on Century Media Records. Uh, Mike, again, thank you, man. I greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to come hang out and chat with me.
You're welcome. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
For sure. So the the band, although it's not always been Heaven Shall Burn, you guys been a thing for like 30 years this year.
Hmm.
That's a long time.
That sounds really long. I mean, when I read the new version of our band biography, when promo campaign starts, like the label sends the latest version over, and I was like, oh, is this really our 10th record already? And I was like opening, Wikipedia and just like counting our own outputs, and it's the 10th record. That's really amazing. But we never were into celebrating anniversaries that much. We rather think of Heaven Shall Burn as a band that has a lot ahead of them and like celebrating 25th birthdays of records or band jubilees or stuff like that. That's never really been our thing. That just sounds too old and not really fresh and active. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's no disrespect, but that's something for bands like Sabotage or Scorpions or name it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you even think about it though, like together at 30 years, you were what, like 17 in 95? Something around there.
Yeah. 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 Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm cresting that 50 mark too, and it's like, oh my gosh. Like, was it
Hmm.
really that long ago? Man, I guess it was. Okay. But I like the way you look at it, right? Like there's still a lot ahead of you guys. Listening to Heimat, it's you guys are new to me, like first. So this is like I went back and listened to some of the old discography and I'm listening to this and I'm like, holy shit. Like this is such a it's such a powerful record. I don't know any other way to describe it because
Hmm.
it's got, these different like extreme metal elements. Like you hear some black metal in there and I'm like, holy shit, I was not expecting that. And some orchestral stuff, which is, man, it's just fantastic. How do you guys keep it fresh for you? Like when you go in and write?
Well, we always write stuff. At first, to get into the Heaven Shall Burn universe, you have to understand that we are not a professional band. It was like, I don't know, like a huge misunderstanding that we became one of the biggest metal bands in Germany and also like a big band in Europe and everything. We never had in mind like becoming professional musicians. And like more than 20 years ago, we decided no, we don't want to go full professional. And we other bands play like 200 shows a year. We maybe play 30 or 40 or something. And and that's why we keep fresh. We also have that other side of our world. We're not only living in the music business. um I for myself, I'm a jurist. So I have a lot of other stuff to do, and when I'm in office, I'm happy to go out and play. And if we play a festival then we just went there for this festival that is not show number 20 in a row of 100
In the
shows or something. We just came there to play, and so you can give a lot more of yourself, you know. And once we are on the road for a month or so, I'm happy to go back between my bookshelves and don't see any music business lowlifes anymore, you know, and take part in the ordinary world. And that is also why we have such a stable lineup throughout the years. You know, there's only two people left our lineup in, or maybe three people if you say 30 years. And they're all still friends and all involved in our activities and take part in the records and stuff like that. So we are more like I don't know, like pin pals, you know, like a bowling club or something, meeting once a week, doing a rehearsal, just like other hobby bands do it, except we headline Wacken Festival, you know, which
yeah,
is still something that feels unreal even to us, you know. And yeah, so
that
for some reason, I cannot put my finger on it why, but for some reason we got big, and at least in Germany, of course, the price we pay as a non-professional band is that we cannot conquer every market. You know, we don't have time to do extensive North America touring, for example, or Asia or some. We really have to focus on Europe and play the other territories once a while, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's something that's really cool about you all. Like you recognize that we don't want to be out there 300 days a year
Mm.
touring, like dealing with all the, for lack of a better term, all the bullshit that you deal with when you're touring that
Yeah.
much, broken gear on stage and you get tired and you're like, listen, man, I love you, but I really need a break from you. Like I want to go
Yeah.
home and like have my home life for a little bit. It's also a really cool thing about, I think, the music industry as a whole is there are room for bands who want to tour 300 days a year and room for bands who are like, you know what? We just want to play one or two times a year, maybe one or two times a month or whatever that is. And the opportunity for levels of success, it's still there. How good is the
Yeah.
music, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, exactly. But like, and here's the absurd thing about all that. The bigger the band is, the easier it is to have such a balance in your life. I mean, now that we are headlining like the big festivals in Europe or something, and we are headliners on big tours and stuff, we make the schedule, you know.
yeah.
We decide when to tour, we decide what day we play at this or that festival, and we don't have to apply to other people's schedules anymore, you know. And that makes it a lot easier to have your job beside the band, you know, that it sounds strange, but it is like that. If you're a young band, you know, on your way up and you have to eat shit and everything, it's a lot harder to comply than if you're successful, you make the rules, you know,
Well,
and it's a lot easier. I mean, just look at Iron Maiden, you know, like Bruce Dickinson did his pilot licensing while he was a rock star, or Brian May wrote his PhD in astronomy being a legend, you know,
yeah.
and not a young musician. So, yeah, I mean, we don't, I'm not comparing our band to these legends, but you know what I'm trying to
It
say.
it's the same mindset though, right? Because
Yeah,
because look at
yeah,
like you've touched on Queen, touched on Iron Maiden, Metallica, same
mm,
thing. They're at the height of their career, and what do? They play two shows a week and that's it
yeah,
when they tour, right?
yeah,
And they don't tour from like what is it, like September or October until April.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's the life. That's what I think essentially when bands start out, they're like, man, I want to go out, I want to make money. I don't want to live in my van. I want
Mm.
to play a couple of times, make our money and enjoy my life. It's like it's a life by design and good for you guys for having that, right? Like
Yeah. The thing is, we were always really indifferent uh, about earning money with it. You know, we never did it for earning money, and the more indifferent we were about that money stuff, the more money came in. You know, because sometimes we said no if there was a good offer, but we just didn't feel like it. You know, because we had good job opportunities and other projects going. Then we just I don't know, didn't take every opportunity offered, and you earn so much money with just saying no because the next offer will be higher, and next year the festivals are going to pay more, and yeah, I mean that wasn't a conscious process. It's just something we realized, you know, and now we know how it works, and yeah, definitely I can. That would be my advice to younger bands, you know, say no more often. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But it like I think that's something that people don't have, right? Well, I don't want to say they don't have, but they don't understand like priorities. You know, for
Mm,
you guys, your priority was having a normal life and let's play music and have fun with it. So there wasn't that external pressure to, man, we've got
mm,
to write, the something that veers this way because it's more radio friendly so we can get a better offer. It was, let's
yeah.
play the music we want,
Yeah.
let's play the shows we want when we want, and let's just enjoy life and stay friends. Like, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's it. And I mean, it's a lot easier to play shows and stay friends if you're successful, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're not eating
And
shit, like man, we made $50 last night. Well, I want to eat. No, we can't. We need gas to
yeah,
next place.
exactly. So yeah, we've been incredibly lucky with everything, you know, and yeah, we so that's why there is no reason to become arrogant or something. We have no idea why Heaven Shall Burn is so big. I mean, on our way, you know, you had so many bands beside you and friends bands, and you saw how much more talented they were, you know, and how much better they were, and they never really made it, and nobody knows why. You know, it's like I don't know. It's
There's, you know,
yeah,
uh, there's tons of reasons behind that, but
yeah,
obviously, right, you know people that have had terrible management. A terrible manager will like really, you know, reroute the train. You're like, "Oh, we're going this way." Nope. Oh shit. How did we
yeah.
end up here? Causing them to go, "Cool, we're out," or, lack of priority.
Hmm.
Let's go out and play and play and play. Well, shit, we're not playing the right shows, or we're not, they're not writing music for the authenticity, or they're not writing music that they enjoy. They're writing music to produce a result,
Yeah,
which it's very inauthentic, at that point.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you play every show, then there is a good chance you play a few shows that are not necessary, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
even if you don't play every show, there's a chance you're going to play some shows that really aren't necessary.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean the term not necessary, not towards the people and the fans, of course, but there's yeah, there's like we turned down a few tour offers just because we didn't have time, and in the end it turned out that was the right decision, you know, even though we didn't turn it down because we knew it's going to be shit or something. It was just like yeah, you may call it instinct or something, or yeah, as you said, priorities. That's yeah, so listen
Yeah,
to your guts more. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Like, know what you want and don't just just go after what you want, whatever
yeah,
that
yeah,
is.
yeah.
So how long did it take to write the current album?
Well, I mean, to know how long it took for us to do the album, it's always a good uh, for Heaven Shall Burn, it's always a good move to just look how long ago was
Last album.
the album before, because now that we finished recording the album and the new album, the Heimat, is about to be released, I already started collecting riffs for the new record. As I said, we are like an always spinning wheel, and yeah, just like friends, we meet like twice a month or thrice a month maybe in our rehearsal room and always do stuff. We don't have like these yeah seasons or periods the music business have, that bands are in studio, bands are on tour, bands are in songwriting mode. Yeah, we don't have that. We're always writing stuff, we're always playing shows, and we're always pretty much recording something. And when we record the demos, like the demo tracks become the actual album tracks. We always keep on working on the demo track. And in the end, the track on the album, maybe it doesn't even have one of the riffs from the beginning anymore in it because it changed so much. But that's a continuous process, and yeah, so we're always writing stuff. So yeah, pretty much 5 years it took
Yeah.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean that's cool though. Like I really, really I respect that so much because there's not that external pressure for you guys to
Mm,
go, okay, like album's released, tour, now we've got to start writing another album again so we can get back out there in a year and a half or 2 years and
mm,
promote something new. It's God, everything's on your terms. That's literally what everyone wants. They want to live
mm.
life on their terms, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't get why more bands are not doing that, why not more bands are doing that. It really keeps you creative, and you only release music when you really feel you have to, you don't release an album because you can go on tour or something like that. Um, yeah, but as you said, I think it's like mismanagement by professional managers is a huge reasons for bands burning out and breaking up and everything. That's yeah, sometimes managements are even worse than pandemics. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Mhm.
I would absolutely agree with that. Have you ever thought about like talking to like groups of young bands and just saying, "Hey, listen,
Well, I mean,
life."
no, it would be pointless because there is different kinds of young bands, like
Sure.
there's the geniuses, like the really outstanding ones. They already do something new you and me have no idea about, and they're not listening to other people. They just do their thing. They're like focused, and they will be big no matter why. Like the I don't know, the grandchildren of Devin Townsend or people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people like that, geniuses. And so there's these people, and there is the people, the young bands that think that there is some kind of a life hack to become famous or successful. They watch all the TikToks, all the YouTubes, how to do and this and that, and how to be rock star in 15 minutes, or all that bullshit, and they will never really make it. And there's the other bands and young people, or at least band leaders or certain people in certain bands, that just ask musicians like like me, and those come to you and ask anyway, so there is no need to collect your audience. If you have to say something like that, they will come to you and ask anyway. And I think it's always a good way to find a mentor and somebody to give you advices and stuff like that from bands that you like. And yeah, and I found that musicians are pretty responsive if you ask them about business stuff and like, or maybe, yeah, maybe when you're at the show, just don't talk to the band members about the local beer or the girls or whatever. Just ask them some business or technique or musical questions and stuff like that. And they actually like to talk about that. And I never turned down anybody asking for an advice, you know. Yeah.
That's really cool. I just think, I feel like young bands out there need to have not all of them. I think some of them have a pretty good perspective on,
Yeah.
what they want and what they're trying to get out of it, but I also think that some of them could use the perspective of someone who is honestly doing it on your terms,
Yeah.
because I feel not even just the music industry, but anyone in any entertainment industry will almost give up a piece of themselves to get to whatever that next level is. And
Hmm.
it, I view it as pointless. Like if you're gonna give up yourself or pieces of yourself to get to this next level, then what's the point to get to that next level? Like, are you, does it make sense to go rob a bank so you can have 20 or $30,000? Like, no. Why
Hmm.
why would you do that? Why, it's just like alienating your friends to be something else. Like,
Hmm.
don't alienate people. Do it on your terms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
That's a good point of view, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if we could just get some other people to do that, I think, another one of the benefits to like you guys not playing hundreds of shows a year is when you play, people are like, shit, I gotta go see them.
Hmm.
Like they're not going to be back in 6 months, or
Hmm.
it might be next year, it might be the year after. So I have to go see them. So it creates like a sense of FOMO, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to miss out on Heaven Shall Burn because shit, they're playing a show.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
Huh.
exactly. But I mean, if you just do the cherry picking and just play the high profile shows that are covered in the media and everything, people easily get the feeling that you're playing everywhere. Even though you're only playing 30 shows a year, people read in all the festival reviews and tour reviews about that because you just played the high profile stuff and the stuff nobody's talking about you didn't play. And so sometimes we realize that people think we play a lot. But if you look at the list, what plays we showed, it's not too much. And yeah, it's yeah, you really have to watch out to be not over. Oh, you're not having over presence in the media as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I don't
that
know.
still that feeling of being rare comes
Yeah,
across to the people. Yeah.
that that's good. That's a really good way to look at it. Look at us. We're like making marketing plans for bands.
Mm,
Like
mm.
only do the high profile stuff sometimes, not always, because you don't always want to be in everyone's face.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
So on Heimat, we keep talking about marketing and living life on your own terms. I really, I'm like, I want to talk about the album. On Heimat, the way that it bookends, um, Ad Arma, Inter Arma, I really like the way that the album starts, the album finishes, and I love the flow of the album. I think it
Mm,
flows really, really well. Um, that first, the first track after Ad Arma,
mm.
um, I don't remember the name of it, and I apologize.
Was the father of all, I think.
That's it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's it's such an epic track to like start the album with,
Mm,
and I think it has so many different elements. It prepares people for like what's to come through the
mm,
whole album.
mm.
So
Yeah,
you're
yeah, well, yeah, it's the most epic track on the album. Yeah, and I
yeah,
think yeah, like all the styles, all the bands we love, are left their traces in that song. You know, you can clearly hear that we love old Machine Head. You can hear that we love old school death metal galore. You can hear that we listen to bands like Snapcase or stuff like that, you know, and I think it's a yeah, it's like a really cool jigsaw, and it really sounds from some post-hardcore stuff till Dimmu Borgir black metal, and it's a wild roller coaster through the styles, and yeah, we're really proud of that song. Yeah.
It in my opinion, it is one of the best like tracks, like obviously not the first track, but it's like the best first song for this album, for almost any album, because it like you do this through the whole thing, all the different elements, and I'm sure that the people who are really familiar with you guys like know how that music flows. So I was like, "Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
absolutely amazed." And I'm listening to the album and I get to Numbered Days and it just like punches me in the face.
Hmm.
It was so heavy. I'm like, "Oh my God. How do you guys like how do you fit so many awesome elements together, not only in a song, but on the album and it not sound out of place?"
Well, it's some I don't know. It's kind of natural. I mean, you're probably today belong to the minority of the people listening to an album in its whole and looking at it as a whole, you know. And of course, like the meaning of a certain song is also like very determined by its context, you know. Whether there's like a really heavy song before the song and there's a calm song after it that, you know, that makes the frame for the song in the middle as well. And that's why an album really has to have a flow, you know, and we're really happy about everybody listening to the album as a whole, you know, that really means a lot to us. I mean, in the case of Number Days, it was uh, no problem to write such a great song because it's a cover song. Killswitch Engage wrote it, and and they're great songwriters, really good old friends of ours. And when we sat together, when we had like Wacken Festival, they had the dressing room next to us, and we hung out and talked about the old days. And I mean, Mike from Killswitch, like 25 years ago, he did the cover artwork for our first record. You know,
Oh, I didn't know that.
he drew our first real band logo and stuff like that. And we know them for ages. And and we thought it was about time to pay some tribute to this great band that kind of started that metalcore thing, you know. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. And yeah, but as you said, like the album should have a flow, and we're really happy that still out there are people who listen to the album as a whole, you know, like with also the intros, the outros, the interlude, you know, there is like little islands of calmer emotions that make like the, you know, the places and points of rage, you know, even more aggressive. And yeah, it should be a roller coaster, you know, as I said, not only within the song, but also within the album. And we always try to do that, you know, and that is something that is really lost today because for many people, if you release a new record as a band, you just exist with like two or three songs in people's playlists, you know,
Yep.
and there is no way to take them on a journey. Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know, of course from our era that's how we grew up listening to music. You bought the album, you bought the vinyl or you bought the CD or you bought the tape and you put
Mm,
it in and you listened to it from start to finish.
mm,
There wasn't like I guess a counter,
mm,
where like if we look at most albums online, like on Spotify, for instance, you look at the first half of the album, and that's where almost all the plays are. And then you get to the back half of the album, and there's almost no plays,
Hmm.
or, comparatively, there's so many fewer plays. I I wonder how many great songs people are missing because they only listen to a couple of songs off the album.
Hmm.
It's a piece of art, for because that's what it is. That's
Yeah,
why I collect
absolutely. Yeah.
it's why I collect vinyl. I want that tangible art in my hand while I listen to the record, side A all the way through, side B all the way through. I want to read the lyrics. I want to read the liner notes because that was how we found bands. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, but it's also the other way around. There might be songs out there that just blow you away, and you buy the record, the album, and you realize, oh, that's just a one-hit wonder. The rest of the album sucks. I had that as well with a lot of bands. As a
Sure.
fan of music, and so if a band can provide a decent record and take people on a journey through the duration of an album, that is something special. And out there are so many bands and projects that are able to put out great singles, but writing an album takes a special kind of band today. Yeah.
That's, that's fair. And
Yeah.
I don't want to sound like an elitist and go, man, you should only listen to full albums. Because you're right. There are those one-hit wonders out there where you're like, man, that song's great. I'm gonna buy the album. And you get the
Yeah.
album and you're like, man, that song is great. Like,
Yeah, and I mean, out there's great bands that have like two or three genius songs, but they released them since 20 years on every record
yeah,
three times. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And and yeah, well, I love bands like that as well, but you don't need to buy a record from them. You enjoy them
no,
live and the songs in your playlist. But yeah, so there's album bands and non-album bands out nowadays. That's
for
that's for
sure.
sure.
Do
Yeah.
you do you find like over the last 10 years or so, do you find that the labels are pushing more on singles and less on albums?
Depends on the label. That there are labels like that for sure. But there's also labels who still earn shitloads of money with selling.
Yeah. Oh, I lost your audio. I can't hear you at all.
What happened?
Oh, there you are.
Everything should be fine on my side.
That's so
Hmm.
weird. It just cut out for,
Yeah, I don't know. I just said that there's out there are still labels earning shitloads of money with selling albums. Just think of the latest Ghost record, you know, or Sleep Token and stuff like that, like selling insane amounts of vinyl,
yeah.
only, and that is still the album game.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, that's I think I'm very grateful that bands are back into putting vinyl out. It used to be so hard to find a vinyl. You couldn't go in a store and buy it. You had to find the band online and hope they sold it. And now
Mhm.
so many bands are putting vinyl out. I mean, I love it. My wife hates me for it, but like got walls of vinyl. She's like, "What are you doing?" Um,
Yeah.
it's great. Is there a medium of music that you prefer to listen to?
Well, it depends on the band. If there's like a Dark Throne record, I'm all into that kind of music, all into vinyl and everything. But like a new Rammstein record, I would always listen on CD, because that is still the medium that provides the best quality to listen to. if you listen to it on your home stereo, you
Stereo.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, there is bands I prefer on CD and there is bands I prefer on vinyl. Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
And people saying vinyl sounds just better, that's bullshit. Like from a physical point of view, you can prove that a CD will always sound better, if you have like these objective measurements and
Sure. What?
it's yeah, like, but vinyl has like a certain vibe, it has a certain feeling, and for some kind of music I need that it is on vinyl, and
Yeah.
then I'm not concerned that it might sound a little bit more dull or like a little bit more faded and not as brilliant as on a CD, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think when people say that vinyl sounds better, I think it's the unique listening experience, right? Because
Yeah.
like every vinyl, I don't care how good the pressing company is, it's got an imperfection. That's where those clicks and pops come from, so to hear that, uh, for me, I I guess that's my preferred medium.
Mm,
I don't always get a chance to listen to records because I like you, like I have a life outside of the music world. So it's
mm.
like, which is the majority of my life. So I'm like, the times that I can sit down and listen to a record, I'm super, super grateful. And
Yeah,
it's
sorry, go on. Yeah.
no, go ahead,
No,
please.
that is really quality time for me, having time sitting down listening to a record or a CD. Well, usually in my car or my headphones, I listen to, music streaming, of course.
Yeah,
And what like platforms like Spotify also do to your music and to other bands' music is just bullshit. That's not the way music is meant to be. There is like, at least in the metal scene, there is the bands you and me are listening to. Nobody sits in the studio and does it for Spotify.
right.
You always go for the sound to be perfect on the vinyl or on the CD, and yeah, but like for a musical all day meal, I use streaming services as well, but that makes me appreciate the rare occasions listening to a vinyl or a CD on my stereo at home and having time to actually listening to it, to see the booklet, to see the cover artwork, and yeah, it makes me appreciate that a lot more, you know.
Yeah.
And as I said, there is bands you need like this experience to have like the huge vinyl, like the cover artwork, to turn the record, to listen to the crackling and stuff like that. And there is, yeah, for example, like I would never listen to Fear Factory on vinyl. I would
Oh
always
yeah.
go for a digital, like for a CD, listening to that band. Whereas I would never listen to Iron Maiden on CD. That is like a typical vinyl feeling for me, you know.
I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah,
And it's funny, I would say most of my records are probably more into like thrash and death metal,
yeah,
and doom. I've got some singer-songwriter stuff, but you're right. Like there are bands like Fear Factory where when I listen to it, I mean even Kill Switch Engage, I prefer them on like a digital platform to a vinyl also. But I'll, frankly, I'm not a huge like Kill Switch Engage fan either,
yeah, yeah,
admittedly. I respect what they do, but to me, I feel like they're more of a digital band.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's, and that is like just a matter of personal taste.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, the other day I went to a record shop with a friend and I got this Macabre Omen vinyl kind of thing I always wanted, and my friend bought it on CD, I bought it on vinyl, because to him it was like a CD band, and to me it was like a vinyl band. And for some people, yeah, like collectors, it also depends on how you started. I have friends like who bought like the first Entombed record on CD, and their collection started with a CD, and now they buying the jewel case. Unfortunately, there is no new Entombed records, but they never switched from CD to vinyl or from vinyl to CD, because it just looks shitty on your shelf.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reason sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny. But that, I think that's the cool thing about music also is everyone can enjoy it however they want to enjoy it.
Mm.
If this band is digital to you and vinyl to me or whatever, it's okay. It's okay if you prefer it on tape. It's okay if you prefer it on streaming services. Like there's no one telling you that you can't enjoy a band however you want to enjoy them. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Um, Live shows though,
Mm.
and my like that's really my like forte. I love the live environment. And I think predominantly because when you walk in there, you're in there with people of all races, all religions, all nationalities, and none of that shit matters. We're all there for the same purpose. Let's watch the band absolutely destroy the stage. And you know what? I love you because you're here with me. Like,
Mm.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, that's a great thing about music. And we are a very political band, like have a lot of political lyrics as well. And I founded the band because I wanted to bring my political points of
Views.
view across. I didn't have like a certain urge to express like some kind of art or I'm not an artist. I'm more like somebody who wants to
Oh,
get rid of his opinion. And and uh, the fact that there is so many different people at the shows is very interesting because I think it's that boring only to preach to the converted. And we're not preaching on stage. We have certain points of view, and those are clear also in our lyrics. But we like to embrace people, and make them fall in love with our music. And on second sight, they might read the lyrics and think about it and maybe change their mind towards the direction I think is cool in certain topics. And so, yeah, um, I really think that music is one of the last resorts for people coming together and not being divided, like in the rest of society, like this mechanism of power of divide et impera, that is really a pestilence nowadays.
yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, music is like, to me, it's the great unifier, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to speak the same language. We don't have to love the same things. But if we're there enjoying the same music, we don't know that you love something different than me. We know that, man, you love the same thing as me, at least in this moment, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's absolutely cool if bands are unpolitical, if shows are unpolitical, as long as you're sure that no politics take place.
Sure.
Usually, I hear that scream for being unpolitical like a lot from the right-wing corner, from people who have no problems with Nazis in the metal scene and stuff like that. And that is a point where I have no tolerance. If there's like right-wing Nazi stuff at shows, I'm not tolerating that. That is not the
Agreed.
political view I have.
Right.
And if people have a problem with my anti-fascist attitude, I just tell them, well, then get rid of the fascists. So
Yeah.
are the
Simple.
anti-fascists gone as well?
Yeah.
and I'm just a reaction, to what you tolerate here. And yeah, so as easy as that, So I'm absolutely into that unity thing, I think it's great. There is conservative people, there is liberal people on shows, no, everybody comes along very well, all religions, all colors, and that's just great. But there is certain things that shouldn't be tolerated, and like
Agreed. Like
fascist
Nazis.
bullshit
Nazis
is
should
one
not be
of that.
fucking tolerated.
Yeah, yeah,
100%. I actually I watched a video yesterday. They had punk rock bowling in Vegas last week, I guess, or maybe the week before.
yeah.
And there was a guy that had he had like a I think it was bright orange, but he had a shirt on with the Nazi lightning bolts.
I see. Yeah.
And they they were like throwing shit at him. They had like security protected him, had to like walk him out so he get
Mm.
away. People were ready to beat his ass. Like, you know, there's there's not a place in the world for that, right? Like
Yeah,
there's enough hate and division already.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Color of skin should not be, or religion should not be, another one of those fucking dividing lines. There's
Absolutely not. No, no.
So, okay, back to music. Um, so on the album, is there a song for you that stands out that you want to play more than the other ones, or that you enjoy playing more than the other ones?
I really enjoy playing Empowerment because it's a rather, well, how can you say it? It has a certain vibe. It's a very positive song that turns rage and frustration into like a positive forward thinking, and that attitude we want to bring across with that song. And so it's a lot of fun to play it live, with the Danzig like rocking riff in it, which is quite unusual for us, not sounding death metal at all, not even melodic death metal. And yeah, that song is a lot of fun to play, and we'll have that in our set list for sure.
Hell yeah. See, all you Heaven Shall Burn fans, something to look forward to. Uh, how have you seen like reviews and whatnot of the album, or do you not pay attention to that at all so far?
I pay, I mean, every musician who claims to not pay attention to reviews is a fucking liar, you know.
I
Um,
love you.
no, really, it is. It is. I'm just more. That may sound strange, but I knew that it's a badass record, so I don't need to read that all day. So like the positive reviews are not that interesting. I'm always interested in
The
like
negative.
criticism, especially from people who are renowned, and people that I know, they know their shit, and that's how you get better. So so I would ask you, what is the most negative thing you can say about the record? You know,
Hmm.
that would be my question. That is very interesting um, to hear. And yeah, sometimes people have a point, and you really think about that and try to improve stuff. So I'm very interested in reviews, but as soon as I realize they think the record is great, just like I do, then it's not that interesting anymore.
That's fair. Now I've got to go back and listen, and I've really, I'm going to go back and listen and to find what I don't like about it. I know there's a couple of things on there,
Yeah.
um, but I don't. When I'm talking to you, I don't want to be like, oh, well, this part fucking sucks. No,
No, of course not. Of course
you
not.
know what I
You're
mean?
Tom. You're far too polite. But you know what I mean. That is
Yeah,
and not every. I mean, there is, especially in the metal scene, there's lots of musicians that just want to sit down and shine. In the shower of compliments they get in the interviews and stuff like that, and they react like very furious towards criticism, negative criticism. But to me, I really enjoyed talking about the downsides of a certain record or stuff that didn't work out for the people. And I'm always interested in feedback like that. Yeah.
So, what about Heimat do you not like? What do you think you guys could have improved upon?
Well, I think we could probably have had chosen another release date, not the same week like Bruce Springsteen and his seven record box. So we would have another number one on the German charts. Um,
Is he really, is
that
he that big over there? The seven records
Oh,
at the
he
top of the
is. Yeah,
charts?
yeah, 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 yeah. He's.
Wow.
I like him as well. I mean, I'm a Bruce Springsteen. I buy the box for myself. So
Well, sure, but like, I know him as, as the, the rockin' in the USA guy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I never even, I never even entertained him playing in another part of the world.
No, he's. I mean, especially when you mentioned you have a lot of singer-songwriter stuff. I think Bruce Springsteen has to provide something for that game as well.
Oh, he
He's
does
yeah,
for
he
sure.
has
Like
like
Nebraska's
really
a great album.
Yeah, like really deep lyrics. And like a few years ago when he played Chile, he also played a Spanish song from Victor Jara, like a Chilean singer I really adore. And yeah, that I have a lot of respect for him. So maybe the release date was not so perfect about the record. And now that the record is not even released, I cannot really tell you, like, my distance to the record is not big enough to be
Objective.
objective. We could talk about the record before that, but for this record, I'm not in the position now to see negative stuff, because some of the stuff I would mention as negative, I know I just think like that at the moment because it's that certain process of the release, because I listened to the songs 1,000 times, and I could talk about that in a year when I listen to the record again after 6 months not listening to it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get you back in a year and we're just gonna talk about all the negative things about Heimat.
Do that. Do that.
All
That'd
right.
be interesting.
Yeah. That'd be great. We have to get the whole band in on it though. Like the whole band has to be like, no, this part, like like a round table of what fucked up on the album. It'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
That's
that's
what we have
awesome.
at every rehearsal anyway. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
That's great. But it's good you guys are friends because it takes that, those walls down where you're not afraid to say, hey, listen, I think you could do better here, or maybe we change this because it'll fit better, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, Mike, I know that you have a bunch of things to do today. So thank you again for your time. I've had a lot of fun chatting with you. Um, I'm really looking forward to getting my vinyl of Heimat now. So
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Thanks for the nice chat. And remember, listen to the record and find what you don't like and let me know.
I absolutely will. I'll be like, hey, Rachel, you got to get Mike again because I got to tell him what all the shit I found was.
Exactly. Great.
Awesome. Have a great day, Mike.
You too. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.